Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about lighthearted mysteries. These are some of the coziest mysteries I have ever read. They're series that I really enjoy, or standalones, and I just wanted to kind of put them all together. This is kind of a part 2 to a video I did earlier this year. I'll link it above if you haven't watched it, if you want to look for more recommendations. But we're just gonna hop in. So I actually want to start off with a series that I'm currently reading, and that is the Haunted Haven mystery series by Carol J. Perry. This series has stolen my heart. This is the first. It's called Be My Ghost. I've checked it out from my library. And our main character is Maureen. She's a sportswear buyer. She loses her job and she receives this mysterious inheritance from a B&B owner in Florida who has passed away and left her the entire B&B, which is haunted with ghosts. And it's just the perfect touch of like whimsy. There's like some kooky ghosts that the main character talks to. There's an adorable golden retriever dog who failed his service dog tests because he was too friendly, and he's the biggest sweetheart, and Maureen's really determined to like save this hotel because it's not financially doing very well. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, so you really get to see her take hold of the business, which I enjoy. The mystery is great, and I just am having just the funnest time with this. There's only a few books out in this series, but it's definitely worth checking out. Another series that is just so much fun is the Jane Austen mystery series by Tirzah. So this is a young adult mystery series, and this is the third book in this series. This is Manslaughter Park. The first one is Pride and Premeditation, and then you have Sense and Second Degree Murder. I've read the first two books, absolutely loved them. The second book was even better than the first. They're all based loosely on young adult versions of the characters in those original series, and then they somehow get involved in like a murder mystery. So Sense and Sensibility, the daughters find like their father who's had a heart attack, but they suspect it's something more, so they get involved in it. I really like the characters. They're really independent, they're fleshed out, they're interesting. I have only read Pride and Prejudice, so I can't comment on how closely it follows the storylines for the other book I've read, but I'm just really enjoying this, and the covers alone are just so absolutely cozy. There's a little bit of romance in each one. They're very just clever, witty, fun, lighthearted, just a really good enjoyable read to cozy up with. This is a series I've recommended so many times. I'm going to keep recommending it because it just keeps getting better, and that's the Noodle Shop mystery series by Vivien Chien. These are two of the books in the series. Death by Dumpling is the first book, and our main character is Leigh. She is a millennial. She's like in her late 20s, and she is a hostess at her family's noodle shop, and it takes place in this plaza called like Asia Village. So there's all these different Asian restaurants. There's like a bar, there's a beauty store, there's a bookstore, all these different establishments, and I love the setting. I love the community. I love her family. They're just very relatable. They get on each other's nerves, but they love each other through like, you know, thick and thin. I really love the family. The main character has a pug, which I love, and her best friend and roommate Megan is such a hoot. She's hilarious. She's a bartender. She's just a really colorful character. I really enjoy her, and Lana is just such a great character. I've enjoyed seeing her grow in her relationships with other characters throughout the books, and I do recommend reading these in order. I think it's just a fun, delicious, cozy series. Another series that I've been pleasantly surprised by, because I didn't love some other books by this author, but I've been enjoying the Record Shop Mysteries by Olivia Blacke. This is the second book in the series, A Fatal Groove. I've read the first one in the series, but what I love about this is our main character, Junie Jessup, has herself and two sisters. They open a record shop. It's also part cafe, and they're all just, again, such fleshed out characters. They all have their own unique storylines. They're interesting. They're well thought out. There's a cute cat who becomes the record shop cat because he's kind of found in the alleyway, and I love the setting. It takes place in Texas, and the way Olivia Blacke talks about this town in the book, it just comes together so seamlessly. Like, you can picture it so well, and I've just really enjoyed it. I think the record shop aspect is interesting. I'm not a big music person myself, like if you ask, I don't know, I'm just not, like, I love listening to music, but I'm just not someone who really knows their music, so I'm not up on the references as much, but I still really enjoy it. So if you do like music, you'd probably get an even bigger kick out of this, but I'm really looking forward to reading book 2 because book 1 was excellent. Nosy Neighbors by Freya Sampson. I checked this out from my library, and this is the most endearing, heartwarming, cozy mystery ever. I cried. Our main two characters in this are an older woman in this apartment building. It's a very like historic apartment building. We have like a 25-something-ish year old with pink hair and tattoos, and she's very standoffish. And then we have an older woman in the apartment. She's been living there for ever basically, and she lives alone. She's very grumpy and she's very nosy and watches her neighbors all the time. And what happens is these two unlikely characters come together in the best ways because they're fighting the apartment building being shut down, because there's a lot of people who want it for the land and they're fighting for their community, and then some kind of mystery does occur. I won't go too much into it because I don't want to ruin details. There's a cute dog. It's just so heartwarming. You're learning about the pasts of these two characters as well, because they both have troubled pasts in one way or another that really impact who they are today. And I loved these characters. Like, it's a book I would actually want to reread, which is really rare for mysteries, but this was truly so fun. It's lighthearted but emotionally impactful in the same way. So it's a really good one if you're kind of looking for, like, you know, something that's a little like, that's gonna like kind of pull at your heartstrings but still like happy, warm, fuzzy feelings for the most part. I really loved. Another one that was really fun that I checked out from my library is Peril in Pink. This one is very lighthearted. It's very like witty. It's very millennial humor, I would say. Like, there's lots of hashtags and social media references, and the main character is opening a bed and breakfast with her best friend. The door of their bed and breakfast is millennial pink. They have a giant dog behind the counter, and basically they invite her ex like boyfriend Lars as a musician, and he's gonna like open on their like hotel opening night, and a murder happens and they get involved basically in this case. And I just think this one had such a fun, cozy, quirky millennial humor, so if you kind of like the social media millennial humor, you'd probably enjoy this. I thought it was just really fun. It was quirky. I don't know if it was like the most amazing story or mystery I've ever read, but it just was a fun, really lighthearted, chill mystery if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that's very cozy, that's a little more serious in tone, I would recommend the Tea Shop Mystery series by Laura Childs. These are some of the first books in the series. This is the first one here. Theodosia is our main character, and she has this beautiful tea shop with all these tea descriptions you get to read. There's tea samplers and tastings and tea parties and themed events around the tea, and it's so lovely. Hi guys, I'm finishing the second half of this video the next day because my camera died, so we're just gonna continue on with the Tea Shop Mystery series. So this series is just, it's so charming, it's so heartwarming. If you are a tea drinker or you just like cozy beverages, cafes, themed events, there's a lot of those within the series. I love Theodosia, our main character. She is a very like more mature, like thoughtful sleuth. She doesn't really rush into things, and I love her two employees, Drayton and Haley. They are both really great characters. I'm enjoying seeing them kind of grow throughout the series and learning more about them, and yeah, I just couldn't recommend this one enough. I feel like it's perfect especially for spring and summer with the tea parties that happen, but there's some really great ones that would be good for fall and winter too. This next one really pleasantly surprised me. There's 3 books out in the series right now. I'm not sure if it's stopped, but I've read book 1 and I really liked it. It's called Till Daph Do Us Part by Phillipa Nefri Clark. This is a Daphne Jones mystery series, and if you are a Scooby-Doo fan, like myself, this is basically like a grown-up Daphne Blake from Scooby-Doo. Not only does the main character have red hair, and she likes solving mysteries, and she is an event, like, I want to say she's a traveling celebrant, so she marries couples and like hosts different events, sometimes like funerals, things like that. And her and her high school sweetheart husband, not named Fred but John, although they do have the right last name because Fred Jones, Daphne Jones. Is that a coincidence? Can that be a coincidence? There's too many coincidences. But nonetheless, they travel around in their caravan, Bluebell. So they travel the country, and they are a really heartwarming couple. I want to say they're maybe in their early 50s, and it's really nice to see a couple that's like well established, that have been married for a long time since they're high school sweethearts, who are so lovey-dovey towards each other. I adore that. And then this one, Daphne gets in trouble when she is basically going to be like a wedding officiant, and then some family drama ensues. The bridal, like the families are clashing, someone ends up dead. I was actually really nicely surprised. I did put together the ending for this, if I remember correctly, but it was well done. I really liked it, and Daphne's just a great character. I love her. And then her husband, sometimes you read a little bit from his perspective, and he will help by hunting down clues, and he likes to look up maps and things like that in the area, and I really liked that. So I just, if you like Scooby-Doo, this is all the Scooby-Doo vibes. I mean, she's got red hair, her last name is Jones, she's married to her high school sweetheart, they travel the country in a caravan, Bluebell, which you can see right there. I'm like, what else like, I love it. I can't wait. I really need to get book 2 because I want to read it. If you're looking for a mountainous getaway, something cooler, I know I am right now. This is called Getaway with Murder by Diane Kallie. It's the first in the Mountain Lodge mystery series. She just hit her landmark birthday, 50 years old, and she's actually having she's divorcing her husband. They're having like an amicable divorce, and she's taking her money from the divorce and she's investing it into this dilapidated old inn that's up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I, for one, look at the cat here. The cat's name is Yeti. And they're like a white fluffy looking like Yeti. And you actually read little snippets from the cat's perspective, which I find really fun and really well done in this. I love the setting. I love her putting her heart and soul into just bringing this place back to life. This one takes place where like a yoga retreat group is at the lodge. Is like their opening week and one of the members ends up murdered. The clue that put together like how the murderer did it was so clever. I never would have put that together. I was so impressed. There's also kind of a cute little romance blossoming. This is just so cozy. I think this is especially great for fall and winter, but if you're looking for a cooler escape right now, like I am, this is an amazing, lighthearted, fun, cozy mystery series. I think there's 3 out right now, and I'm really hoping more will come out soon. If you're looking for something delicious, and if you're like me and you like cheesy, I mean, I love sweets, don't get me wrong, baked goods, brownies, that's my favorite, but cheese. And I have 2 deliciously cheesy recommendations for cozy mystery series for you. The first one is the Cheese Shop Mystery Series by Korina Moss. This is book 1 and 2. I think book 5 is just about to come out, so it's a pretty well-established series. It's ongoing. Korina Moss is a wonderful writer. My favorite is book 2, Gone for Gouda, but they've all been just fabulous. Our main character in this is Willa, and she is a cheesemonger. She's opened Curds and Whey, which is this French-inspired cheese shop, and she's opened it in Sonoma Valley. I love her employees as well. They are beautiful, like lovely characters, and my goodness, can we talk about these covers? I mean, come on. This is like the coziest, most delicious. You gotta eat some cheese or make something cheesy, like eat mac and cheese while you're reading these. So that's like how I do it. But these are great. The mysteries have been wonderful. I've really enjoyed the series. Like I said, Gone for Good is my favorite. I love Archie, which is one of the employees. He's a really wholesome guy. And then we have an older lady, Miss Schultz, who works at the shop, and she is a retired teacher, but everyone still calls her Miss Schultz because she deserves that respect, and I think she's amazing. This whole series, it just brings so much joy to my life. I absolutely love it. It's so cozy. There's recipes at the end for cheesy stuff. There's like a grilled cheese Gouda apple recipe that I'm dying to try this fall because it sounds so good. So that's my first one, but if you are also looking for another cheesy kind of recipe mystery series, I recommend the Pizza Lovers Mystery Series by Chris Cavender. I do believe this series is complete as far as I can tell. This is a little bit of an older series. This is actually one of the series that got me into cozies. This was one of my first cozy mysteries right here. And it takes place in Timber Ridge, North Carolina. Our main character is Eleanor Swift, and she is running a Slice of Delight. She's brokenhearted because she has lost her husband. They didn't have any kids, but she did lose him at a younger age. I want to say she was like maybe in her early 40s when this book takes place. But her and her sister Maddie run a Slice of Delight, and I love the 2 sisters. I love their contrasting personalities. Maddie is very extroverted and more flirtatious and outgoing, and she's like the kind of more of the host manager, I guess, front of the restaurant, whereas Eleanor, she's like the owner, and she does manage like more of the admin and stuff, and she does the cooking. And the descriptions of the pizza, so good. And this one, it just reminds me of a local pizza place myself, so I always have this beautiful imagery whenever I read this series, and I've just always enjoyed it. The mysteries were always solid. I love the family connections. I love the characters, and I just love it. It just makes me so happy just looking at these. An all-time new favorite cozy mystery series of mine that could make it as like one of my top picks of the entire year. I checked out from my library. It's called Sniffing Out Murder by Kallie E. Benjamin. This is the first in the Bailey the Bloodhound mystery series. I cannot express how much I adore this book. There's only one out, the first book in the series. We basically have our main character. She is a children's book author, and she's written a series based on her own dog, her bloodhound, Bailey, and Bailey's adventures. And also Bailey is registered and like trained to interact with children. So there's like this literacy program where they take Bailey in and the children read to the dog to like promote reading and stuff. And I think that is the most brilliant thing ever. But the series was great. The mystery amazing, the characters incredible. Basically like the old high school mean girl from her high school days is still kind of a mean girl, and she's on the board, like the school board nearby, and drama ensues. She ends up dead. It kicks off our mystery. I just loved it. There was just so many heartwarming moments. I couldn't recommend that enough. I want to know when the next book comes out. It better come out soon. I need it in my life. It was so good. Another one I have been just rushing through this. I'm already 3 books into the series, and that is the Mainely Needlepoint mystery series by Leah Waite. This one is later in the series. It's Threat on Arrival. I've read this book and then the first 2 books in the series. And our main character in this is Angie, and she has been living in Arizona for a while, but she's returned to Maine to live with her grandmother and kind of sort out her life in the first book. And her grandmother owns a needlepoint business, and she like hires out some of her needlepoint friends, and the business is just kind of in shambles. There's a lot going on, and Angie ends up kind of helping out with the business. A murder happens and she ends up getting involved. She also has a little bit of a private investigator background because she worked like in a reception for a private investigator in Arizona, so she is an amateur sleuth, but she's got like a little extra knowledge maybe in that respect. But I just find her to be a very spunky character. I find the descriptions and the mysteries for these really well thought out, and the setting of Maine is just one of my favorites. Like, it's so beautiful. I've never been to Maine, but I would absolutely love to based on some of the books I've read. So this is another one I strongly recommend. We do have a couple of cats in this series, so if you are a cat lover, you will get your cat fix with this series. If you're someone who enjoys like clothing, fashion, stuff like that, I think you will love the Secondhand Boutique Mystery Series by Deborah Sennefelder. This mystery series is just, it's one that I've again been flying through this year. I've been checking them out for my library. There's I think 4 or 5 out in the series, and a Halloween novella that I really want to get my hands on. And our main character is Quinn, and she's taken over her grandmother's thrift shop, and she's really trying to elevate it with her New York background as like a fashion buyer and stuff, and like merchandiser. So she comes back, she takes over the place, and she's revamping it, reinvigorating it. There's a lot of family history and family storylines, so definitely read this one in order. It really matters for this book. I would read the series in order, but I just like Kallie. She's a spunky character. She's very realistic. I feel like there's a lot of interesting descriptions. I like the way she observes other people because she's always noticing like the smallest details about their fashion, their shoes, they're just like different things like that, which can make a difference in a case, you know, if you're considering someone's clothing, because you'd be wearing clothing for different occasions and things. So I think that's an interesting clue and one that's kind of overlooked sometimes. And I personally love hearing about the boutique renovations and how she's styling things. I love that. There's been a lot of great storylines. So the first book, actually, Murder Wears a Little Black Dress, takes place leading up to Halloween, and then the second one takes place leading up to New Year's. So amazing picks if you're looking for a seasonal or holiday read. Mrs. Quinn's Rise to Fame. This book, I'm going to say this is the least mystery one on this series. This one is definitely more on the emotionally driven. There's still some interesting mysteries like family plots, but Mrs. Quinn is essentially, she's like in her early 80s, and she is kind of come to a point where she realizes that she's had a wonderful life with her husband Bernard, but they don't have any children, and she's kind of like, what have I accomplished all these years? You know, she's kind of looking back, and she just feels like she wants to like make her mark somehow. And she's a big baker and cook, and she loves the show, which is very similar to like the Great British Bake Off. So if you are someone who loves to bake or like watch baking shows, you're gonna really love that incorporation. But she sees that they're accepting applications, and she applies secretly, and this is the only time, besides one other time in their whole marriage, that she hasn't told her husband, because she did it behind his back. She was really nervous, and she's practicing, and the way she relates, each chapter is themed after a different baked good that she's making, and the way she relates each recipe to her past and to different emotions and memories is so touching. It's so unique. I've never read anything quite like it. It really touched my heart. And there's some storylines you'll read about her past that will definitely make you like choke up. I definitely like teared up a bit. So it's definitely more, it's lighthearted in many ways, but it's more emotionally impactful, and you'll find some really interesting storylines. And just the ending for this, oh, my heart. I still like well up thinking about it. It's just a really touching one. And then last but not least, this one also a little bit lighter on the mystery side, no murder. It's called The Kamogawa Food Detectives by Hisashi Kashiwai. And this is actually a Japanese international bestseller. And it's been translated recently. Book 2 is actually being translated and released later this year, which I'm really excited for. But it's a collection of 6 short stories about a father-daughter duo who run the Kamogawa diner. But this isn't any old diner, because the father is a retired detective and they both cook, but their specialty, they don't really advertise their stuff, at least not traditionally. They're very like hidden, like, you know, people have to like seek them out. But what people look for them for above all else is helping them hunt down old nostalgic recipes. So for example, some of the characters might be wanting to try this like special dish from their past, but they haven't been able to recreate it or find anything like it as adults. And for one reason or another, you're reading the short story and their explanation of the dish, and then they come back, they're served the dish, and you realize like the emotional layers there is to food and how it connects us to our memories and our past, and like how it can even hold special places with our relationships with different people and stuff. And it's just, oh, this one, it was just so heartwarming and touching. And it's, again, it is I mean, there's some mystery elements to it, because every time you have a new customer come in who wants help with this, you're kind of trying to get to the root reason. Like, what is driving them to want this dish so badly right now? Like, what is it, what's the holdup kind of? And so there's that interesting motivation with each one, but it just is so heartwarming, and I absolutely loved it. There's also this cute cat named Drowsy in it, which I'm really interested in how that translates into like Japanese, because I think Drowsy, I've never heard someone name their cat that like in English, but I wonder if there's like an additional meaning in Japanese. I'd be curious, but I think the covers are darling for this, and I just had to include it as a very light-hearted, touching, but just beautifully nostalgic one. Again, if you like food and like how it connects to our memories and our emotional state, Mrs. Quinn's Rise to Fame and the Kamogawa Food Detectives both kind of accomplish similar feelings in different ways. One's a short story, so it's not as intricate, but it's still just beautiful in its own way. So I really recommend both of those. And that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, I have done one version of this before where I shared lighthearted mysteries. I'll link that above. I upload new videos every single week on my channel, all bookish and all within the mystery, thriller, and like cozy living realm. So if you like any of those topics, please hit subscribe. My name is Amy Marie. Thanks for watching. Let me know down below, what is your favorite lighthearted mystery or mystery series? I would love to know. Bye guys.